Welcome again, my friend. Please sit, take a drink, and let me tell you of the Weardale Fairies. In the serene dale, a mystical presence permeated the air, whispered through the trees, and danced upon the hills. These ethereal beings were known to all, yet glimpses of their enchanting forms were granted to only a fortunate few. Scattered across the gentle slopes, small rocky outcrops adorned the landscape, unmistakable fortresses belonging to the fairies. Towers, keeps, and battlements stood proudly, marking their dominion. Nestled within these rocky havens were miniature caves, hidden within the hillside, where the fairies convened under the moonlit embrace of night. There they revelled in harmonious melodies, joyous laughter, and the graceful art of song and dance. Late-night wanderers returning home would often speak of silvery voices carrying upon the breeze, mingling with the echoes of laughter. But whispered tales warned that the fairies, although their voices were sweet, harboured capricious natures. They were delicate and envious creatures, unable to endure prying eyes upon their sacred grounds, and those who dared trespass would face their peculiar retribution. Not far from the town of Stanhope resided a farmer whose greatest delight was his beloved daughter. The little girl possessed a charm and delicacy that seemed almost otherworldly, as if she herself could be mistaken for a fairy. One day, as the sun bathed the world in its warm embrace, the young girl ventured out to play. Her innocent curiosity led her towards a meandering river, its banks adorned with blooming primroses. She filled her tiny hands with the delicate blossoms and began her ascent up the hillside. As she neared one of the minuscule caves, her ears were greeted by the enchanting melodies emanating from within. Tiny voices resonated with mirth and merriment, captivating her senses. Compelled by the irresistible allure of the spectacle, she lowered herself to peer into the cave. The sight of fairies swirling in ethereal dances and gleeful play flooded her heart with joy. Fascinated by these enchanting creatures, she dared venture further into the depths of the cave. In an instant the fairies vanished before her eyes, leaving her with a sense of wonder. Overwhelmed by excitement, she hurried back home, eager to share her extraordinary encounter with her father. The farmer listened to his daughter's tale, his heart gripped with a paralyzing dread. He understood the dire consequences that befell those who intruded upon the fairies' realm, and he was well aware of the punishment they would inflict. Once mortal eyes had glimpsed their secretive world, silence was the only means to protect their sacred mysteries. The only recourse was to whisk the intruder away, ensuring they were forever hidden from their own kind. Realizing the imminent threat that loomed over his beloved child, the farmer knew he had no time to spare. The fairies could strike at any moment, snatching his precious daughter from his grasp for eternity. Concealing his fears from the innocent girl, he embarked on a hasty journey towards the only person known to have outwitted the mischievous fairies, a wise woman residing in the neighbouring village. She listened intently, her expression grave, fully committed to offering her assistance. The wise woman spoke with certainty, assuring him, "They will certainly come to take her away, and their arrival is imminent. Tonight, precisely at midnight, is the hour of greatest concern. However, there is a solitary method to prevent them from succeeding. Their magic cannot function in complete silence. If you can manage to maintain absolute quiet within your house during this critical time, all may still turn out well." With a sense of urgency, the farmer hurried back home, contemplating every possible factor within the house and its surroundings that could disturb the tranquillity of the night. As soon as his young daughter fell asleep in her bed, he commenced his preparations. First, he ventured to the farmyard, meticulously ensuring that no sound could disrupt the silence. Every single fowl was confined in darkness, every door and shutter tightly secured to prevent even a sliver of moonlight from stirring them to flapping wings or drowsy squawks. The horses were fastened to their stalls with gentle ropes, while thick layers of straw were spread around their massive hooves to muffle any potential noise caused by their movement. In the cowshed, the metallic chains were loosened, and any object that could be inadvertently struck or toppled was carefully removed. All doors were then firmly closed, effectively stifling the possibility of any soft lowing sounds from the cattle. Moving on, the farm dogs were given a feast beyond their wildest dreams, indulging in an abundance of meat and milk until they could consume no more. Afterward, they were snugly confined to their kennels, allowing them to sleep off the weight of their substantial meal. Gates and doors were securely fastened and wedged, preventing even the slightest breeze from causing them to rattle, while the pigsties were generously layered with straw, obscuring the pigs and their troughs beneath a fluffy blanket. The farmer's meticulous preparations served as a testament to his determination to maintain perfect silence during the fateful midnight hour. He was willing to go to great lengths to protect his daughter from the looming threat. The farmer next turned his attention to the house, stopping all the clocks to silence their ticking and striking, and covering the little caged bird his daughter loved with a heavy cloth to prevent it singing. As midnight drew near, he extinguished his fire, lest a log should fall or a brand split and crack, and took off his own shoes, lest his feet shuffle on the hearthstone. The time wore on. When the last stroke of midnight had fallen from the church clock in the nearby town, he heard them coming, and it was as if his very heart stood still. He heard the tiny clatter of the hooves of their tiny ponies as they rode over the cobbles up to his door. He sensed their bewilderment as the deathly silence in house and farmyard threatened to wreck their plans. But even as he began to hope that all might yet be well, the yapping of a dog fell on his ears like doom. He had forgotten his little girl's own pet dog, which slept always at the foot of her bed, and detecting a strange presence had warned of danger. The farmer leapt to his feet and raced up the stairs, but the bed was empty, and the child was gone. Grief-stricken and bereft, he sat to watch for the dawn, and as soon as it broke, he set off again to the home of the wise woman. Perhaps even now there was some way he could win his darling back, if only he knew how to go about it. The wise woman was full of sympathy, and commended him for his courage in not accepting defeat without at least another try at getting even with the fairies. "Naught is easy," she said, "and the task will be more than difficult, but there is a way. You yourself must go to the cave where your daughter first saw the fairies, and you must take with you these things. Wear a sprig of rowan on your smock, for rowan is a sovereign charm against harm of any kind. Then you must carry 3 things: something that gives light without burning, a live chicken without a bone in its body, and a limb of a living animal that has been given to you without the loss of a single drop of blood. If you give these things to the king of the fairies, he must and will return your daughter to you." The farmer thanked her and left. He now had a spark of hope, but it was a very tiny spark. How was it possible to obtain 3 impossible things? A light that did not come from burning, a live chicken without a bone, and part of a living animal gained without shedding blood? As he trudged wearily homeward, each step weighed down his heart a little more. He found himself engulfed in a sea of uncertainty, unsure of which path to take. Lost in his despair, a voice suddenly broke the silence from the roadside. Startled, he glanced down and discovered a pitiful beggar, as thin and famished as a skeleton, lying on the grass. "In the name of God, please help me," gasped the beggar, barely able to speak. "I am weak with age and hunger, and I can go no further without food. Can you offer me assistance, sir, before it's too late?" The farmer let out a heavy sigh and fumbled in his pocket for a coin. "I can and I will," he replied, his voice filled with empathy. "Although I still possess strength and health, I have faced my own share of troubles and know the desperation for help." With a generous gesture he tossed a coin to the beggar, preparing to continue on his way. "Thank you sincerely," the beggar spoke with newfound strength. "You have willingly extended your help, and now it is my turn to assist you. What you need is a glowworm. It will provide you with light, yet it will never burn. That is the solution to your initial problem." The farmer stood there, his eyes fixed upon the beggar, utterly astounded by this unexpected turn of events. However, as he continued to gaze, the figure of the beggar began to fade, gradually growing less and less distinct, until the frail outline vanished completely, dissolving into thin air. Filled with astonishment at this extraordinary occurrence, and buoyed by the knowledge that he had found an answer to at least one of his dilemmas, the farmer strode forward with newfound determination. It didn't take long for him to reach the outskirts of a small woodland area. Amidst the quiet surroundings, he suddenly heard a frightened squawk and observed a flurry of wings. Intrigued, he halted and surveyed his surroundings. A thrush darted anxiously to and fro, terrorized by a hovering kestrel ready to strike and claim its prey. Instantly comprehending the situation, the farmer swiftly bent down and grasped a stone. With unwavering aim, he hurled the stone towards the kestrel, forcing the predator to retreat with beating wings in search of another meal. The farmer sat quietly beneath the sheltering branches of a hawthorn tree, watching as the thrush gracefully landed on a nearby branch. The bird, with its feathers slightly ruffled, settled down and caught the farmer's attention. But what happened next filled him with astonishment beyond words. The thrush spoke. "Words cannot express my gratitude," the bird said. "You came to my rescue at a time when I needed it most. You saved my life, and now, in return, I shall assist you in your time of need. What you require is an egg, precisely 15 days old. Inside it, a living chicken shall form, but it will possess no bones." The farmer was so overwhelmed by the extraordinary occurrence that he found himself speechless. However, his heart was filled with sheer delight. He turned his gaze towards the thrush, which tilted its head to one side, its bright eyes shining, and melodiously sang its silver-toned song 3 times over. Then, right before his eyes, the bird dissolved into nothingness. Yet he now possessed a solution to 2 of his 3 problems. With a newfound lightness in his step, he pondered upon the remaining challenge, aware that it would likely prove the most difficult of them all. Just then, a despairing shriek pierced the air, originating from the base of a nearby wall. The farmer's attention was drawn to the commotion, and he peered over the wall to discover a rabbit entangled in a snare, desperately struggling for freedom. Without a moment's hesitation, he leapt over the wall and swiftly freed the trapped creature. For a brief moment the rabbit lay panting on its side, then regained its composure and sat up on its haunches. The farmer expected the rabbit to scurry away as quickly as possible, but he had grown accustomed to being surprised that day. His hopes soared as the rabbit began to speak. "One good deed deserves another," the rabbit said. "Sir, I believe I can assist you further, for I hold the answer to your final dilemma. If you were to seize a lizard by its tail, it would escape by relinquishing the entire tail, leaving it in your grasp, without shedding a single drop of blood." For the 3rd time that extraordinary day, the farmer stared in disbelief at what had appeared to be solid flesh and blood simply vanish from sight without a single movement. His heart danced with lightness, matching the quickness of his steps as he hastened towards home. Although he still had to gather gifts for the Fairy King, he now possessed a clear understanding of what he sought. A broody hen diligently sat upon her precious clutch of eggs, each one meticulously labelled with the date it was placed beneath her. In just a few more days, the 15th day would arrive, the day he could retrieve an egg from the nest, harbouring a lively chicken that had yet to develop bones. A search along the lane adjoining his farm proved fruitful, as he discovered 3 radiant glowworms, their emerald green glow emanating from the base of an ancient tree. They provided just enough illumination to guide his way as he cradled them gently, despite their lack of actual flames. On the following day, amidst the rolling hills, he patiently waited for a lizard to emerge and bask in the warm afternoon sun. With the stealth of a mouse, he approached silently, surprising the lizard by seizing its tail. He felt a swift wriggle and tug, witnessing the lizard vanish like a fleeting emerald flash. Yet he clutched the tail firmly, finding no trace of blood upon it. Filled with elation, he adorned his smock's bosom with a sprig of enchanting rowan bush, and tucked another in his cap for good fortune. As soon as the egg was ready, he embarked on his quest to locate the fairy's hidden cave. His daughter had described its whereabouts so meticulously that he encountered little difficulty in finding it. Stooping down, he called out, signalling his presence and making known his purpose. The fairies swiftly flocked to the cave's entrance, but upon glimpsing the sprig of rowan they recoiled, their power to harm him utterly nullified. They summoned their king to confront the mortal intruder, and as the king arrived, the farmer pleaded for the return of his daughter. The king of the fairies began to protest, but his denial was silenced as the farmer presented the glowworms, the egg, and the lizard's tail. In an instant the fairies vanished, and his daughter leapt out from the mouth of the cave, finding solace in her father's embrace. She emerged unscathed, and together they made their way home, savouring mouth-watering toasted bread and butter, and exchanging tender gazes by the warm hearth. However, she now possessed a newfound wisdom. She would refrain from plucking primroses, the fairies' cherished blossoms, and resist the allure of their diminutive caves, no matter how enticing their melodies may be to her ears. And so ends my tale of the Weardale Fairies. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe, like, and maybe leave a comment down below. It has, as always, been a pleasure to sit with you, my friend, and I look forward to sitting with you again very soon.